We can see the rotation here, and we are getting it down towards the ground. It's racing at about 50 to 60 miles per hour.
We were sheltering in Mason City all night. There are homes that were completely leveled.
He was taking shelter with his dog. They were laying on the ground.
The residents of Teope are waking up to devastation today.
We see it every year. Storms ripping through communities and leaving nothing but destruction in their path.
It's a lot worse than I imagined.
House just shaking and quivering.
Worst thing is, we've probably lost 8 to 10 homes.
My stomach dropped, and my heart aches for this community.
But what comes after is what makes Southeast Minnesota and Northeast Iowa special.
First thing at daylight, 40, 50 people showed up and helped.
The community support is huge.
They want to help, so we've had a lot of help so far.
I was blown away by coming here and seeing how many people are here cleaning up and helping.
Project Tornado, Storms That Shape Us, starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Nick Jansen. Tonight, your Weather Authority team is taking a look at recent severe and historic storms that have impacted our communities and how they continue to shape us today. From how we tend to rely on tornado sirens across our area a little too often, to the creation of Mayo Clinic, severe weather played a hand in it all. And more recently, this town, Teope, Minnesota, where on April 12th, an EF2 tornado wreaked havoc on a community of just 60 people. And now, months later, the work is just beginning.
Darkness hid the extent of Mother Nature's fury. A long, anxious night for many as word of extensive damage spread.
Some of them are knocked off their foundations. The majority of them are just missing their roofs, and some of them are, the majority of them are just gone.
Daylight confirmed the worst. Teope would never be the same. Most homes were destroyed. A family's safe space now looked like a dollhouse.
And you point to me where you guys took shelter at?
Right about there on the top of the step, that we could feel the whole house just shaking and quivering. It sounded like 5 or 6 trains.
Governor Tim Walz took in the damage with awe, and the view from above was just as jarring.
It's a miracle that everybody lived through this, because if I stayed in my home, I wouldn't be here.
Norma Kiefer raised 10 children in Teope. After 72 years of living here, her house is destroyed. So she joined many others seeking shelter and rest at her daughter Mary's home. Mary Huntley is also Teope's mayor. She quickly put her leadership to the ultimate test.
Everybody's helping us to just dig out right now and make a plan. Everyone tells me they are committed to starting over. They're staying here. We're committed to our town.
The garage was gone, but they had found a saddle and one shoe.
One shoe.
One shoe, yes. I don't know any of those people back there, but he said they all came to help.
And in Teope, that help means everything. Tess Abrahamson, KTTC News.
Back on December 15th, 2021, Mother Nature made history. It confirmed 3 tornadoes touched down in northern Iowa, including an EF1 right here in Rudd, Iowa.
Tornadoes in December are not something that usually happens in Minnesota or Iowa. In fact, it was the first tornado ever in Minnesota in the month of December. This storm was also the first derecho in the United States that happened ever in the month of December.
Rudd, Iowa, a town of about 500 people, saw massive destruction that night. This library destroyed. Somehow the books remain inside. The strong winds even taking out the tornado siren.
I am on Chickasaw Street and 4th Avenue, and what we can see here is we actually have one of the tornado sirens in town actually on the ground.
But for the people in this storm, one thing matters more than the damage.
We got lucky. You know, everyone's alive, so no one got hurt. That's the main part.
And alongside the debris, rubble and sheets of metal, neighbors helping neighbors.
This is really a really good community. Rudd's awesome. Small as we are, there's a lot of people who actually came out and from all over the area right here. You know, all the surrounding communities came out and helped us out.
Small communities coming together in big ways.
First thing at daylight, 40, 50 people showed up and helped.
Because what matters is still intact.
Luckily for this small community, there was one volunteer firefighter who risked his life that night.
The short man on the totem pole got sent to the siren, and the only button that works out of all of these is the test button, so all right, pushed and held it.
And he held it as long as he could.
And to hear like tin and stuff peeling off of buildings and wood cracking, I had a hard time seeing really what was going on, and next thing you know, I couldn't feel the pull on the button there anymore. Oh.
The siren landed blocks away from where Tyler was standing as an EF1 tornado crashed through his town.
Do you realize how lucky you are then?
Standing in the middle of it was Tyler.
So the button's right there. So
Yep.
And you had to press and we talked about it, you had to press it multiple times, right? So you
Sit
press
there and
it.
press and hold, yeah.
Okay, so Micah, if you can look, so the track of the tornado came from that direction. Okay, so it came right from there, and then it went that way. So the tornado would have went right over this post, over his truck, and then the library was right there.
Yes.
Tyler says he was just doing his job.
You know, I volunteered to be a firefighter, but I've had quite a few people come up to me and thank me for saving their life that night. And I mean, you don't even think about it when you're doing it. It still kind of catches me off guard sometimes. I like to think there was somebody watching over me, you know.
Here at KTTC, we pride ourselves on getting you information as quickly as possible. So fast, one man, a Rochester leader, says we may have saved his life.
When Nick said radar indicated tornado I-952, he gave me 3 minutes.
Plus, it has been 6 months since Heartland was hit with an EF2 tornado. A look at the cleanup is next. Welcome back. As we talked about earlier in the broadcast, December 15th, 2021 was a historic day for severe weather. Along with a derecho, Minnesota had its first ever tornado in the month of December. There were 32 confirmed tornadoes in our area alone, and that derecho produced 71 in total, including an EF2 right here in Heartland.
Here is a bank in the small town of Heartland on the night of December 15th when a tornado tore through the town.
And we've got damage to the bank and buildings in the immediate area, and we've got some power lines down in some areas.
The high winds severely damaging homes of its residents.
Just about every single house is still inhabitable, but there's a lot of sheds and barns damaged.
Almost immediately, the community came together to rebuild their town.
It's just nothing like I've ever seen, honestly. It's unreal.
After months of cleanup, here's a look at the bank. Community members putting it back together, brick by brick.
We can't do much about Mother Nature, but if the last 2 years have taught me anything, nothing surprises you anymore.
And although work remains months after the storm, this community has come a long way with the help from each other.
You know, this is a pretty resilient community. It's a small town in the heartland of Minnesota. It's a tight-knit community, and no matter where you're at, the people are working together and getting the job done.
Darian Letty, KTTC, your weather authority.
When severe storms happen and we tell you to head to your safe place, there's still a group of people out on the roads, storm chasers. Your Weather Authority team has a partnership with the Iowa Storm Chasing Network, and I'm joined by the president of the Storm Chasing Network, Zach. Zach, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, hey, so I want to talk about our partnership because I think it's crucial that us on the broadcast side, we have partners like you, so we're not putting our own people in danger. You guys are providing that crucial information for us then to relay to the public. How important is that, the partnerships between you guys and the broadcast side of things?
I think when it comes to severe weather coverage, it's a very critical piece of information. Obviously, radars can only tell us so much, and having that ground confirmation that we're out there providing through live streams is an additional piece that takes severe weather coverage to the next step.
I am getting at least word from our producer, Victoria. Let's send it back over to our Storm Chaser Network here. This is that cell that we were talking about just to the northwest of Fort Dodge.
So that was that Gilmore City tornado. This vehicle, we were on the southeast side of it, and Willard was on the western side of it right as it developed, and you took that live stream and showed that live on air.
One of the most important things for you guys not only is to capture that awesome video, but is also to be safe.
Yes. Yeah, so obviously we take the most precautions when it comes to safety. You know, obviously you see time and time again some storm chasers pulling some risky stunts to get that video. Obviously we do it in a very safe manner. Obviously we have a policy that if you don't obey the rules, you could be terminated from the Iowa Storm Chasing Network.
Okay, Zach, so let's take a look. Let's take a look inside.
Okay, so Zach, we're in the vehicle. Yep. So tell me a little bit about what's going on inside the vehicle. So when you guys are chasing, because you said earlier there's 3 of you in here.
Yeah, so it's sort of orchestrated madness. So
yeah.
I am usually in the passenger seat where you are sitting, doing the forecasting and navigation, getting our team into position to intercept that storm. We usually have Todd in this vehicle driving, getting us there to and from safely. And then we usually have Catherine in the back doing social media, Facebook Lives and all that for us while all 3 of us are doing our independent job. As you can see, obviously the equipment is on the passenger side, as I'm usually playing cameraman as well.
Yeah.
Obviously framing up the tornado or any shots that we need to provide back to you. So we have our Live View backpack that broadcasts that signal to the internet, so that way you guys can use it.
Oh, there we go. Got a tornado.
You'll hear us say it all the time. Head to your safe place. But what do you do if you don't have a basement?
In the state of Minnesota, there is a statute that requires mobile home parks to provide shelters.
Steps to staying safe is coming up next. And as we head to break, let's take a look at a historic storm in our area. On July 5th through the 8th in 1978, severe thunderstorms caused massive flooding in Rochester. 5 people died in the floods. It also caused $58 million in damage. After the flood, city and county officials ramped up funding for the flood control system that currently protects Rochester. The system includes a concrete channel on the Zumbro River and reservoirs on other rivers that flow into the Zumbro on the outskirts of town. Forecasting severe storms and alerting people for when they need to head to safety is what we do. Our ultimate goal is to keep you safe. If you're in this pink polygon, you need to get to your safe place immediately. Sometimes we deal with people calling in, upset and frustrated about missing their favorite show, and we get it. Trust me, we know it can be aggravating, but we will not go off air until we know there is no longer a threat in our area. And on December 15th, 2021, we were fortunate enough to give the Rochester Fire Chief and Emergency Management Supervisor enough time to get to safety. He says he was grateful he was watching KTTC.
Barren trees, some fallen. A man-made barn still stands.
Just a lot of chainsawing, a lot of brush stacking, and trying to find a place to stack the brush is the hardest part.
How old are some of these trees that?
The first one, the oak, is 150 years old.
The cleanup is extensive for Rochester Fire Chief Eric Kurska.
You need to buy her some boots, Chuck. We're lucky it didn't take out the barn and miss the house by 100 feet.
Right, so it went right through here.
Yep, right through here. Now he's on the front porch.
Severe weather hit his property at 7:47 on the night of December 15th. Because of a KTTC alert.
Here in this area, right near I-90, kind of where I-90 interchanges here with Highway 50.
Chief Kurska says he knew it was time to hit the deck.
Take this seriously here.
I have a lot of respect for the Weather Service, but I was so impressed that you, as far as I know, were the only TV station that made your own call, didn't wait for the Weather Service. And so you gave us 3 minutes that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
He says the county tornado sirens blew at 7:50. This X marks roughly where Chief Kurska's home is located. That night when they heard Chief Meteorologist Nick Jansen.
Very dangerous situation.
Kurska and his wife went to the basement.
You heard a lot of bangs and a roar and things hitting the house and things flying off the railing of the house. When Nick said, radar indicated tornado I-952, he gave me 3 minutes.
He came upstairs to find his house and the barn he built still standing. But his trees were not as lucky.
We got the fences cleared so I can get to the fences. So the next step is to fix the fences so we can get the horses out in the pasture. And then it's just going to take me, I'm getting old, it's going to take me years to clean all this up.
All in all, no lives in his family were lost, and he tipped his hat to the KTTC weather team.
You're lucky that this didn't get me.
Reporting south of Rochester near Marion, Cammie Raisler, your Weather Authority.
So when severe storms hit and we tell you to seek shelter in your safe place, you typically think of the basement in your home. But what if you live somewhere without a basement, like a mobile home or an apartment complex? Then where do you go? Well, if you live in a mobile home community, you'll want to come here to your park's storm shelter for safety.
In the state of Minnesota, there is a statute that requires mobile home parks to provide shelters. That went in effect, I believe, back in like 1987. Licensing that happened for mobile home parks after 1988. they're required to provide a storm shelter. And that has to be constructed per code.
Now, let's say you and your family live in an apartment complex. There are a few different things that you can do depending on how your building is designed. If you have an underground parking garage, this is the safest place for you and your family to go during severe weather. Now, say your apartment building doesn't have an underground parking garage, but you happen to live on the ground level. What you'll want to do is head to the interior-most portion of your apartment, so a closet or the bathroom. This will be your designated safe space. And lastly, if you live on the second floor or above, you want to move down to the lowest level of your building and stay in the hallway.
Just like you practiced when you were a kid in school, you go to the hallway and you hunker down, get down on your knees, put your head between your knees and cover up your head.
Another option, one that is more common in the southern United States, is to install a tornado shelter.
So here in the Midwest, we're pretty fortunate we have basements to go to that are below ground. However, there's still walkout basements for homes that don't have basements for cost-saving measures. And this solution provides that safety for people to at least have a little bit more comfort when severe storms roll through and they need to seek shelter.
We really don't have a full interior room. Everything has windows in it, and so having a very young family, just wanted to be as absolutely cautious as possible.
This option has been tested to withstand just about anything.
They are FEMA rated, and to take it one step further, we dropped a Ford commercial van on top of it.
For Project Tornado, I'm Sarah Gannon, KTTC, your weather authority.
Thanks, Sarah. And sometimes we all rely on storm sirens a little too much.
You're inside your home. The sirens were never meant to be heard indoors.
We're taking a deeper look into how they work, coming up next.
In Olmsted County alone, there are 97 tornado sirens. However, often during severe weather, you'll hear us say that you should have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. Now, you may wonder, with all of these sirens, why should you need other alerts? That's because sirens serve a different purpose than what you might think. Outdoor sirens have been used for severe weather alerts in Minnesota since the 1960s. But how are they operated, when are they activated, and who do they sound for? Each county is in charge of operating its own tornado sirens, but many counties have differing policies for when those sirens are activated. If a warning is issued, most counties will sound sirens only for locations inside that warning polygon, but others will sound all the sirens in the county, whether or not those towns are included in the warning. What sirens are activated for also changes by county. Some will only sound sirens for a tornado warning, while others will also sound them for a thunderstorm with wind gusts of 70 miles per hour. The biggest misconception about sirens is who they're meant to be alerting.
We get a lot of complaints on, I couldn't hear the siren, I was inside my house. Again, it's the outdoor warning siren system. They're meant to be heard for those that are outside or caught outdoors during activities. If you're inside your home, the sirens were never meant to be heard indoors.
What about all clear sirens? Are those a thing that you guys do?
No, we do not sound an all clear. Once you hear the siren and get inside to a safe spot, your all clear message is really going to come from your local news, your local weather.
In Rochester, Amanda Morgan, KTTC, your weather authority.
There's one storm that we have yet to talk about. Not only did it shape southeast Minnesota, but also the medical industry as a whole.
Pretty much a third of the entire town of Rochester at the time was wiped out by the tornado.
When we come back, a look at how a tornado helped with the creation of the Mayo Clinic. It didn't happen this year, this decade, or even the past century, but one storm has stood the testament of time, creating all of this.
Rochester in ruins.
The town was just nailed.
A telegram to the governor of Minnesota on August 21st, 1883.
Pretty much a third of the entire town of Rochester at the time was wiped out by the tornado. Destruction on a scale that people had just not seen before.
The infamous 1883 cyclone killed 40 people and left more than 200 with injuries.
You've got houses collapsed, you've got people hurting, killed, and Dr. W.W. Mayo and his two sons, who were both in medical school, came out and to start helping people, and where are they going to carry those injured, especially if their homes were collapsed?
Between the rubble and wreckage.
Mother Alfred had the Academy, a large building in downtown Rochester. A little bit of the roof had torn off, but it was a building that could house persons that were injured because there was no hospital here. So that put an idea in Mother Alfred's mind.
Motivation.
to start something that's never been done before.
So she was a real entrepreneur because she realized the city didn't have a hospital, and this is not going to be the last time you're going to need a hospital. So W.W. Mayo, I want to talk to you about building a hospital. So that's that famous story where she goes and convinces him this town needs a hospital.
Creating,
This is where it all started. This is our history.
in a sense, the perfect storm.
They discussed it, they agreed, and very importantly, they shook hands. They never had a legal contract. They trusted each other. And this is the heart of teamwork.
And as for that teamwork today, everything's different, but nothing's changed.
It's remarkable when you think how different our world of today, 21st century, is from 1883. But what never changes is this values-based commitment to serve patients, but to serve each other and to serve our community also.
A city built on the work of a father and two brothers named Mayo, and a clinic named after them.
A city that may not have its reputation without the storm that shaped it.
Probably the most important thing that happened in this town. Without the 1883 cyclone, you wouldn't have had Mayo.
Do you think if this tornado happened today, it would be the same response?
Without a doubt, it'd be the same response. I know the sisters would be there saying, how can we help?
I think when you get back to the origins of it, you realize these very humble beginnings had a profound outcome.
For Project Tornado, Barrett Leone, KTTC Weather Authority.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Although severe weather is always right around the corner, your Weather Authority team is prepared for it all. Have a good night.